We can do that one more again. There we go. Woo! Hey, what a day it's been. What a day it's been. Good, I guess it'll be good evening by the time you see this, but good day to you or good morning, depending on what time zone you're on. Shout out to the international viewers. I remember seeing a couple of, I think it was like Australia or something like that. Yeah. Pelicans Daily presented by Fan Arts. I'm your host, Dylan Bruton. Make sure to like, to share, to subscribe. Tell a friend, tell a friend. Remember, support is for free. And you can tell them that I told you that when you're chilling with Dill, you already know the drill. All right, all right. So let's get right to it. So we're getting closer and closer and closer and closer and closer and closer, 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 closer to preseason, which means we're gonna get closer and closer, closer to season. And after that, hey, whatever happens, happens. But as you know, there's a lot of moves that are being speculated on because there's just not a crazy amount of actual traction going on. So a lot of people are just kind of throwing stuff on the wall, hoping to see something stick. And like I be trying to tell y'all, Chris is my dog. Chris is my guy. Like we've built a really good rapport. Um, but you know, I still call him out from time to time with stuff that I do agree with or I don't agree with. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't make sense to call someone out if you don't agree with them. But you know what I mean. I mean, if you do agree with them, you know what I mean, though. But potential trade. So we all know that that's going to be the dominant talk, especially with this team, because hey, even though somehow we ain't good enough to do nothing, everybody wants a piece of us. It's the craziest phenomenon ever. But we gonna see. We gonna see, right? Well, a potential trade that Chris talked about that I have also discussed as far as a player wise is Yves Missi and Dalton Knecht. Now they both were picked in the 2024 NBA draft in the first round. Both enjoyed very solid rookie campaigns. I was very impressed with what I saw out of Dalton Knecht, and obviously very impressed with what I saw out of Yves Missi. I knew more about Dalton Knecht than I did about Yves, but needless to say, was pleasantly surprised and very much pleased with both of them. And they were only 4 draft picks, ahead of each other. Well, Dalton was 4 picks ahead of Yves. So, it's not, there's a lot of continuity, there's a lot of overlap here. Now, thinking about it in both team terms, right? For the Lakers, we know that the big man position is where they definitely are having their most amount of struggles. They were supposed to get Mark Williams from the Hornets, sending, Dalton Knecht, but the trade basically got renixed and botched because Mark Williams failed his physical. And, you know, I think that had a pretty profound impact on Dalton Knecht because he didn't really play much. He didn't really um, he didn't really get much burn during the postseason. And when he was out there, he was not as sharp as he was prior. I mean, he had some really big games. He had some big scoring, in the November part of the season. He averaged, about 19 a game on 52% from three, including a 37-point game against Utah where he had 9 threes. I mean, he was just going off. And I was, again, very, very impressed with what I saw out of him and just how mature and ready he was to take the responsibility. But unfortunately, he wasn't able to sustain that. He kind of fell out of favor with Coach Reddick. And we need shooting, right? Shooting is still an area that we have some issues. Obviously, we did, pick up some talented shooters, Jordan Poole, Saddiq Bey, who I will be covering and talking about. But it doesn't hurt to add more, right? And I think Dalton Knecht has a very long career ahead of himself as a three-point spacer shooter that can also keep you honest and create off the dribble if need be, if it calls for it. And then in terms of LA, right, they would benefit greatly from Yves, right? Yves a young big with a tremendously high ceiling, still so much potential, and he can rim run, catch lobs, play defense, very akin to how Derek Lively was in the 2024 run to the finals for those Mavericks with Luka. So who knows? Now My thoughts, no. I don't want us to give up Eve. Like, if we got to give up Eve, it's got to be for a player that is not on the same status, you know what I'm saying, but a player that's better. That's how much I believe in Eve. I think Eve has a lot more potential to reach, and the fact that he was able to achieve what he did as a rookie, being a bit underregarded, unheralded, and I still saw signs that were encouraging this past summer league. I know he didn't shoot the ball well, but I saw an aggressiveness that I didn't see the year before. I saw him being able to take guys off the dribble. You know what I'm saying? So if he puts it all together, I think he's going to be a very talented player. I think he could be an all-star at some point. I don't think that's crazy. Now, he's going to be never going to be a go-to scorer, but he can carve out a very good career for himself as a rim-running big that has a bit of a low post game, can take you off the dribble. You know what I'm saying? So I just think my answer is no. But, it's one of those things of, hey, I'm not in charge, and it's to each his own thing. But we'll see. We'll see. Now, this, though, on the other hand, was very interesting. So, shout out to Pelicans SI, Liam Willerup. I haven't mentioned his name in a while, but shout out to him. I'm very intrigued on what transpired and came about with this. So, Trey Alexander, who we picked up from the G League, who was an absolute dog in the G League, led the league in scoring, was able to, really make a name for himself there. Had a couple really good games in the summer league, and he's now on a two-way deal with us, so he'll be allowed to appear in at least 50 games, and he's going to also be wearing Anthony Davis's old number. Now, this is a move where I don't know how to feel about this one. I don't. You know what I'm saying? I feel like there are just numbers that just got to be untouched. There's just numbers that you don't even bother. Even if they're not retired, that was my whole basis with Denver. You know what I'm saying? How did Jokic get Melo's number? Can anybody rationalize how a second-round rookie from Serbia that largely, unless you were tapped into the global, outreach of basketball, how was he getting his number? Melo took the Nuggets to the playoffs. Melo took the Nuggets to the Western Conference Finals. They were 2 games from beating prime Kobe. And I get it. He did not exit amicably, but that's the thanks he gets. You give his number to some second-round rookie? Same with the Magic. Letting, it was like Tobias Harris rock number 12. And I get it. Dwight went out. Did not have a nice exit at all. But still, it's the principle, I mean, I guess the Magic are kind of the wrong team to use because they let T-Mac wear Penny's number after Penny got traded to Phoenix, I believe. Yeah, in the very early 2000s. And then, but this is, okay, sticking on the Magic. Then they turned around and let Jonathan Isaac rock number 1. I mean, I know they let Rafer wear number 1 too, so yeah, it just doesn't make sense. I don't know. I feel like this is my thing. I think teams get petty about how players leave, and they're like, "Oh, okay, we'll assign your jersey to somebody else." But I don't rock with that. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's times where things are out of your control and out of your hand. If they've done everything possible for the team, why would you turn around and disrespect them like that? So I guess you can see where my perspective is going on that. I think that Anthony Davis's number should not have been assigned to Trey Alexander, especially with Trey Alexander. No diss to him. I think he's got a lot of talent, but he's a G League player. Anthony Davis was the number 1 overall pick, was the college basketball player of the year, won tournament MVP, won a championship. I mean, what he accomplished in 1 year at Kentucky was insane. I have never seen a freshman year like that. The last time I saw that was Melo, and that was a pretty big gap. Melo was in 2003, AD was in like 2012. So to me, I think that's a slap in the face to AD. I don't think AD deserves that. I understand AD had his injuries, but he took us to the playoffs. He made us relevant again. You know what I'm saying? he made the Pelicans a name because, we were the Hornets. And before that, it was all about CP3. And, I know Chris Paul didn't have a ton of control with how he exited and such. So there's all these just little things where it's like, man, like this is the thanks that they get. So yeah, I see a scenario and Liam talked about this in the article that AD will likely be the second player to have his number retired because the first was Pete Maravich who had number 7. Now I would say third because Chris Paul is set to retire after this season. Like that's a for sure thing. But I just I can't, man. I just can't co-sign that one. I'm sorry, Trey. Like I really hope you ball out because there's going to be a lot of eyes on you. There's going to be a lot of attention on you. But for good reason. But like, it doesn't sit right. I can't lie to y'all. It doesn't sit right to me. It just doesn't. You don't do that to a player that was your number 1 overall pick, that brought your franchise back to prominence, that made y'all, that took, essentially a new team, right? Even though it's the Hornets, took a team and made them known, made them relevant enough. I don't think that's right. I don't think that's right. I'm hoping Trey does well and proves me wrong, but nah, I just can't. With that one, I just can't. I'm sorry. With that one, I just can't. So we're going to leave it at that. Y'all let me know what y'all think. Personally, though, AD meant and did too much for this team to turn around and have his number given up like that. I'm sorry. I just got to – that's just my humble perspective. I know some people might have a different one. That's cool. That's fine. But I can't co-sign that one personally. But now what I can co-sign is, again, my guy Chris Lambert talking about Saddiq Bey. Now, Saddiq Bey is a guy who I feel like I'll be defending a lot, mainly my guy David Weimer. Shout out to him, though. He knows ball, so I don't get mad at his critiques about Saddiq. But it was talking about what are the goals for next season and what does Saddiq have to do in order to have a productive first season with us. In the aftermath of him being a part of the trade with Jordan Poole, CJ McCollum, and Kelly Olynyk. Now, Saddiq Bey is a 6'7", 215 player, similar build to Micah Peavy. Career 3-and-D guy, shot 35% from 3. Talented defender, plays very hard-nosed basketball. And given that we don't have the most amount of wing depth behind Trey Murphy III and Herb Jones, which is also where the Dalton Knecht move would kind of make sense because you could put Knecht at both the 3 or the 2. But he's not the best defender, so you've given up the defense there. Saddiq is set to play a big role for us because of the game that he plays and the value that he brings. And we were bottom 5 in 3-point shooting and in defense. So that's got to change. And what is that going to take? Well, it's going to take a team effort for one. But 2, it's going to definitely take a successful year from Saddiq Bey, coming off the bench, being in that James Posey type of role. I've talked about that with Herb. I think Herb is really going to be more in that Tayshaun Prince role. But Saddiq Bey is the perfect James Posey. If you got Herb being a better version of Tayshaun and then backing him up, Saddiq Bey is playing like 2006 or 2008 James Posey. Oh, we've got a squad. We've got a well-rounded team that is able to do a lot. So I agree with Chris that it's going to take Saddiq to be a lot more efficient, right? He's got to make sure that on the defensive end that, just continue to stay aggressive, continue to follow your matchup and be on point. But shooting-wise, he definitely got to get more efficient because his efficiency does suck. I got a lot of love for Saddiq Bey. I like him as a player. With me and him the same age, high school class of 17. I go hard for my class. We the last 90s baby class. But Saddiq definitely has to work on just being more efficient. And it just opens up opportunities. It creates more opportunities for the rest of the team. So, yeah, I'm in agreement with Chris on this one. But I think Saddiq Bey is going to have a good year with us. I think that was a smart pickup, and I think that he's going to provide a lot of value for us instantly. So stay tuned for more. Now, to my favorite part, responding to y'all. So let's get it cracking. Let's get it going. Speaking of, my guy David Weimer, 8244. If we're looking to add a free agent, we have to decide, is it short-term or a long-term player? That is a good point, because we are in that weird space where it's like we've got young guys who are coming into their own and developing, but then we don't really have that many veterans, but the veterans are ready to win now. So it's like, where's that fit? If a guy like Cam is signed, whose minutes will he take, and is he blocking out the development of guys we want to develop and believe in, like Peavy? Cam definitely has the talent, but a lot of teams have moved off him, and he has had injuries. For a guy who's been on a minimum deal the past couple seasons, you have to ask why so many teams keep sending him out the door. That is a good question. It's like, I hate to use this as an example, but, since it's mostly men who are watching this, it's like, a beautiful woman that's chronically single. You ask yourself, why is she single? Like, you looking at her, she's beautiful, she's got a good job, she's got all her teeth. I mean, hey, sir, it's crazy out here. You gotta, I don't have the greatest teeth, so teeth matter. For me, teeth matters. I love a pretty smile. But you know what I'm saying, comes from a good home, is said and seems to have good character, right? You would think, okay, all these boxes are checked. Why is she single? Why hasn't anybody put a ring on that? And it's in the same way with Cam. Like, Cam is literally like, if you were building a small forward, a versatile, smooth scoring small forward, you're getting a Cam Reddish type of player. So I get that. I get that point that David is making. Plus, how does that fit into the team that we are building now? Does that get in the way of anybody's development? Yes, I agree. So I do agree, like, that would be the ultimate question to pose. Is this for the now, or is this for the future? You got to look at it in both ways. And then he said Cam might have played his last game in the NBA. He has the talent, but is not put together enough for teams to believe in him. Oof, David, you're one cold dude, man. Like I said, you'd be a great coach, though. Ball. But yeah, my guy Christopher Church is like, I don't know about last game. Cam Reddish definitely didn't play his last game in the league. I agree. And David doesn't think that Jalen McDaniels will make the 15-man roster but be on the G League team. We'll see. And yes, PV did get a little banged up. So, yeah. To Christopher's point of saying, love your insight, I prefer a short-term player of signing anyone. Potentially. So maybe that would be tough for someone like Cam Reddish. That could be. That was just something I posed because we couldn't get Olivier Maxim Prosper. So we're going to see. Yeah. All right. Christopher again. Jordana Clark going to be hating you. LOL. Hope she's not starting to take up space in your head. Nah. I've just been a little perplexed that, like, I've yet to read an article of hers that, how do I put this nicely? There might not be any other way to do it. Might just have to rip the bandage off. But I've yet to read an article that shows me you really watch Pelicans ball, that you really are tapped in like that. It just feels like what I've heard every single podcaster and content creator say about the Pelicans. Need a little something more than that, you know what I'm saying? But teach his own. But I just can't co-sign it. You know what I'm saying? I can't jack that. It's not what I want to support. She's a good writer. I'm not going to say she can't write well, but it's just like you don't really offer much analysis. It's just a regurgitation of what is already in the algorithm. And that's just where I differ. I like to provide people with something different, give you something unique, there's a reason to come back. And I understand Not everybody wants that either, but it's cool. The people who do, they appreciate it a lot. They do. Christopher again. Fears and Queen are playing the G League. That's probably a good thing because that would mean the rest of the team is playing good and the rookies aren't needed. Queen can't get more time than Carlo just because he's a rookie. It's a good way to look at it. I think overall, we're going to be pretty set in our lineup starting five-wise, and it'll be interesting to see what happens with the bench. It'll be interesting, but ideally they get to come along slowly and develop in a patient time frame and not feel, oh my gosh, like we're rushed and we gotta Christopher again. Jose would have been traded already, and I think Poole is probably more wanted around the league than Jose, and that was a possibility when we traded for him. Also, I think Hawk gets more play in the trade. Well, Jordan Hawkins, who y'all know me, I'm a Jordan Hawkins guy. I'll wear that. I don't want you looking at things without your glasses. No, I'm just quoting. Anytime I say that line, it's me quoting Wayne. That's it. But yes, from looking at things analytically, Jose probably would have been on the chopping block already, but Jordan Poole definitely has the most value, right? He was a player that was once viewed as a potential star. He started to get back his momentum. He's a champion. He's a shot creator. He had a really good year last year. But we'll see what happens. We'll see. I really hope that, by and large, this team stays together because I want to see what they could do fully healthy. I think I think our ceiling is 4 to 6 seed, and I think our floor is 7-8 seed. Either way, I think we're gonna have a great year, and it's gonna be a very exciting time to be a Pelicans fan. So, yeah. Get your degree. Hey, now the real work begins. Nah, seriously, yo. Whoo! School has been no joke. Not one bit, but it's, what I'm saying, pressure busts pipes, but it also makes diamonds. Iron sharpens iron. I'm very appreciative of where I'm at. I'm very grateful. So, excited that y'all are on this journey with me as well. It means a lot. And then the last comment, Jordan G437. Pels up. Pels up. You know what I'm saying? Pels up. I got to get some merch. You know what I'm saying? Deck myself out with these videos. Y'all going to see me geared up, looking fly. But that's going to be it, though. Appreciate it. You know what I'm saying? A lot more to cover, especially as things progress. Can't wait for preseason. Preseason is going to be very fun. We play our first game in Birmingham. So, hey, if you're down south below the Mason-Dixon, go tap in. Go see the Pels. Go see them live. Go see the squad up close. But that's going to be it for this video. I appreciate the love and support. Continue to be amazing. Like, share, support. Make sure to support Fan Arch as well. They're doing their thing in the sports content world. And I appreciate all the love and just general in my journey, in my personal journey right now with grad school. I really greatly appreciate it. Y'all stay blessed. Have a great rest of your day, evening, morning, whatever time zone it is. Stay tuned for more. You'll see me tomorrow. Have a great one.